I'm Dina.
And I'm Suzanne, and thank you so much for tuning in to the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast.
With Dina and Suzanne.
That's us.
The purpose of this podcast is to help you along your healing journey, to become the very best version of you that you can be, and to create the life of your dreams. We want to give you the tools you need to succeed through personal stories, guided meditations, hypnosis, NLP, and self-hypnosis techniques, as well as interviews with experts in a variety of healing modalities, from energy workers and spiritual healers to chiropractors, acupuncturists, holistic medicine, and much, much more.
Yes, and we also want this podcast to be a place where people can come together, share stories, and be reminded that you're not alone. In fact, the healing journey is a lifelong journey, and we are just so thankful that you're choosing us to be a part of your journey and that we have you to be a part of ours as well. And with that being said, let's start the show.
I'm ready when you are. So, welcome to Rise and Shine. It's Hypno Time with Dina and
Suzanne
and Scott Sandland from Newport. Is it Newport, California?
Newport Beach, California. Yeah.
Newport Beach. Great.
Well, we're so honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
It's totally my pleasure. I'm really looking forward to this.
So we want to know a lot about you, everything about you, because we know that you've been involved in hypnosis and all different types of facets of it. So first of all, how did you get involved? What brought you into the interest of hypnosis and NLP and this type of a healing modality?
So it was a combination of two things. Mostly it was a car accident, but then it was also a bet. So I was a water polo player in high school and college, and quite competitive. Played on good teams, and then was in a car accident where I ended up on pavement, and shoes fly off, bunch of skin goes away. Lots of things get dislocated and broken. I was a pretty uncomfortable experience, and to put it lightly. And
horrible.
When that happened, I found out that opiates don't work well on me. I'm just one of those people where my tolerance for opiates in terms of getting pain control, I have to take a lot, which would make me incredibly high and useless. And so I was like, okay, well, in order to feel good, I would have to become a drug addict. There just wasn't, I'm in that population. So
right.
I started looking for other things, and I was trying everything. It didn't matter what it was. I was desperate. And I was dating a girl at the time who said, she was a tennis player. And she said, our tennis team had a hypnotist come out and really helped us with sports performance. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, if you want to have your serve better, that's great for you. Or you want to have a better attitude going into a sport, but I have real pain here and I need a real solution, not to talk to some woo-woo spiral pocket watch person. I was very skeptical. So she was nagging me about it. And she ended up betting me that hypnosis was real. There was some sort of, bet. Mm-hmm. And so I went with the full intention of just not getting any results and just being able to, respectfully just shut my girlfriend up. That kind of a relationship. We were very mature. I don't know. I was 18. And just all right, fine. I'll just do this, prove her wrong, and then I can move on to doing other stuff. Went to this woman who has since passed away. And this was a long time ago. This is 23 years ago, 25 years ago. And I went to this woman and I said, look, I don't believe in this. Respectfully, I don't believe in this. But I'm in pain, so I will do whatever you say and I will follow your instructions, but I just need to does being skeptical matter? And she was so unimpressed by that. She was like, no one believes in this. Sit down, just shut up. We're just going to do this. And she was one of those people who was old school, and she was connected to all the old school guys, the Al Krasners, all that generation. She was friends with that whole Dick Sutphin, Al Krasner crew. And so she just sit down. And I was like, all right. And I was months of suffering in at this point, I would wake up in pain. I was just all that stuff. And it worked. Not 100%, but better than anything.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, something's up here. I will come back. And I came back and it helped a little bit more. I was like, okay, this is something. And my friends and my teammates were like, how's the stupid hypnosis thing? And I was like, it's kind of not stupid. And they were like, really? And so then I started doing it to them. Like whatever she was doing to me an hour, 2 hours later, I was trying and getting good enough results that it was like inspiring, if you know what I mean. Like
Right.
I obviously wasn't good at it yet. And I was just doing it based on what I could remember. So my success rate was not high, but it was high enough that I was like, okay, this is cool. And then there was one moment, this is a way longer answer than you were expecting, forgive me.
No,
There was
I
one
love it.
moment, I was in college and I just remember I was having a not great day, not like nothing special, but just like I was kind of in a bad mood, like whatever. And I had taken an intro class. At that point, I had talked to Roy Hunter. I was like learning. I was like, is this the thing? Or am I just curious? Or am I just learning this for myself? And my roommate's girlfriend just ended up in the kitchen of where we lived. She and I were in the kitchen and she was crying. And I was like, what's wrong? She's like, I'm just having the worst day. And she's just, a crying 18-year-old girl. And I said, okay, well, hey, I'm learning all this hypnosis stuff. Do you want me to just try it on you to see if it helps you feel better? Like not really knowing anything. And she was like, sure. And I did a little technique, whatever it was, like whatever intro class technique I could have done back then. I don't remember what it was, but I remember her opening her eyes. And I remember this moment of gratitude and her being like, she's like, I feel so much better. Oh my God, thank you so much. And like, there was just this moment and I was like, that's it. That's the thing.
Cool.
That's cool. I'm here for this. This is what I should be spending my time on. And so over the next 6 months, I just like did the deep dive and just the rest is history.
It just went into the study of it. It's interesting too, because the first time I ever tried it, I had met this master hypnotist in Pensacola and we were in business, and I was in sales and communication, but I wasn't involved with hypnosis. And she asked me if I wanted to try it. And the same thing went through my head. I don't want to be controlled. I don't want somebody to plant some sort of crazy suggestion. But she knew I played tennis because I played tennis for like 25 years
awesome.
On and off. Yeah. So she said, well, why don't you try it for your tennis game? And so I did. And without going through all of that, within 6 to 8 months, I went up and up and up and up in level, and my focus and my ability to, stay focused or direct my focus was so crazy that I was like, oh my gosh, this works and I could do this. Yeah. So that's what got me into it, was the tennis part of it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all find these like weird little angles in, like, because there is no career day for hypnosis, but that means the people who are in because it helped them.
Right. And I don't think they encourage a career day for hypnosis because,
Sure.
There's too many people who can practice it without going through licensing and the schooling and everything. So, So they kind of dismiss it almost like they would an herb that could cure diabetes or something. They're not, So anyway.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, how it usually takes some type of experience plus like trying everything else that gets you like truly, trying it out in the first place, but then like truly believing in it and having to pursue it further. I mean, it helped me so much too. Like I did the same deep dive.
Yeah, she came into this as a client.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there was such a massive change that it was like, why don't you join me? Because she's great with journalism and all that stuff too. So
thanks. Well, so I see how there's the correlation here between, the medical side and hypnosis, because it helped you to deal with your pain. So I'm assuming that's what made you interested in the medical and dental hypnosis. Is that correct?
Yeah, I got good at pain control because I had to for myself. And also because I was a college athlete, which means all my friends were college athletes because we had to be on campus over summer and stuff like that, which meant I had all these sort of practice partners that all had chronic pain. And because every college athlete has pain, like it's just kind of built in and normal, on any given week, everybody hurts somewhere. And so I could say, hey, we'll do funny stage hypnosis kind of stuff. And we'll all, kind of jackass around and be 18. And then at the end of it, I'll hypnotize you for your knee or your shoulder or your whatever it is. And they were all like, yeah. So I got into it that way. And then I started doing stuff with some professional and semi-professional athletes for the same thing. And then that somehow turned into working with dentists. And then I went all in on dentistry. It just, if anybody's new in the profession and they're trying to figure out what their niche is, it's not something I was passionate about, but it became such an obvious, great area.
Right.
Dentists love hypnotists. I mean, there's just like, I could fill an entire practice with just dental patients, and I did. And so I just started doing that. And then the dentist introduced me to doctors, and the doctors introduced me to drug rehab centers. And so all of a sudden I was on staff in all these offices, and they were giving me all the clients. So I never spent $1 in marketing ever.
Awesome.
Now with the dental stuff, can I ask you, did you hypnotize them before they went into the office, or did you go with them, or did you give them a recording? How did you get them to stay in a state of hypnosis during the primary, because you've got a fear with dental and you've got the pain, right?
Yeah. And so there were a lot of different, and you also have behavior modification. So if there's a person who grinds their teeth, hypnosis is the best modality for people who grind their teeth while they're asleep.
Wow.
And so there are these people who get like all this dental work done, and then they're ruining it by grinding their teeth. And so the dentist says, hey, instead of ruining all this work you just paid for that makes like my outcomes look bad, go to this hypnotist, and then you won't have headaches anymore. So there was a ton of it that was chewing tobacco and teeth grinding for sure, and nail biting. But all those are sort of oral habits.
Right.
But in terms of what we would do for in-procedure work, it really depends on the kind of procedure and the kind of person. Like there were times where I was working in children's dental centers where I was like de-traumatizing kind of stuff, where I'd be doing like genuinely the waiting room. Like I would just have like 6 crying second graders saying, I don't want to go to the dentist. And I would hypnotize all of them all at once.
Wow.
And I would just do the stuff like in the waiting room. And then there would be times where I would do like an hour in a dental chair with the patient. So it was all over the place. I would just walk in. I had a lab coat with my name on it. So I'd walk in like in a tie and like dressed like a dentist. I'd put on the lab coat, and they would just say, here's your patients today. I'd be like, great. And I would just walk into the room, not knowing what I was seeing the person for, what was going on. And I would just go through a caseload all day. And that was just how I did years. Was I would go to work not knowing who my clients were going to be that day, what they were going to see me for, but they handed me a stack of files, and I would just go through those files.
So you kind of contracted with the dentist directly, not with the patients or
Correct.
with their parents, right? Well, that is so neat.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Did you ever do hypnosis for like anesthesia?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Well, that's what
I did
when you're
like oral surgeries. I did skull surgeries. So like people who like had to have their heads open, and like they had to touch the brain, and they were allergic to the anesthesia that is normally used for that procedure. So they've used me for that anesthesia.
wow.
And those are the moments that are very scary. Where
Can you elaborate
Right,
on
'cause
that a little bit more for our listeners who may not understand what that
Sure.
means?
So pain control is the most demonstrated, most clinically recorded, most well-proven application of hypnosis. Like everyone talks about like maybe stop smoking or weight loss. Pain control has a much better track record and much more well-documented, going back much further in time. So it's the precedent is all there. And I wasn't, a trailblazer by any stretch of the imagination. I was just, doing the same kind of work that people have been doing for hundreds of years. I was just doing it this year. But pain control is so easy in hypnosis. The biggest challenge in it is the fear of the hypnotist. The hypnotist's fears, the hypnotist limiting belief, the hypnotist confidence is the greatest limiting factor in pain control. And once the hypnotist gets over that, the work's super easy and super rewarding. It just requires that your fundamentals are rock solid, because you've got to have great fundamentals, and you've got to have the ability to customize on the fly when things get a little sideways. But that's just fundamentals and reading the room. Once you have that, you're just working with this client, finding out how we're going to get just phenomena. It's the same set of skills you need for a stage show. You're just doing it for, just one thing, just pain. Simple thing, turns it off.
So insane that you can use hypnosis, and you said like during a skull brain strain. I mean,
and I can see the fear too. You need to be confident in that, because you've got somebody with their head wide open, and if anything was to happen and you do not get them in the state they need to be in, that movement or that pain or whatever might take place, it would be scary. So you have to be completely confident in that.
And the treatment teams that I was working with, the medical teams, in any given situation, they weren't used to working without anesthesia either. So they were scared. I remember the first time I was doing a root canal with no anesthesia, and the dentist knew me. She'd referred many patients to me at that point. We had this great relationship. But this is different. This is going against her muscle memory and her choreography. And so there were a bunch of these moments where she'd start to get the tools into the mouth, and she'd go, "Are you sure? Are you sure she's ready?" I was like, "She's ready. Just go." "Are you sure? Do you need to do anything else?" I was like, "Would you just do it?"
Right. And don't ask, because you might create some sort of doubt in the client.
Right. And there was just this understandable hesitancy and just nervous energy. But we got over it. And I'm obviously doing all my state control, because I'm at least as nervous as everybody else in the room, but have to be the one going,
"I got this.
We're ready."
Calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah. Of course we're good. Yeah. All the time we do this.
Well, that is so neat. You've got such an array of skills with what I was looking through and looking you up. You've got IA, right?
AI, yeah.
You've got that going on. You've got the medical. You've got entertainment or stage hypnosis. I'm not sure how much you've done all of those things, but if you had to pick one that was your favorite skill or the most passion connection,
sure,
which would it be?
So I've only done a little stage stuff and entertainment stuff. I don't think anybody who really does that stuff would put me in the group of people who do that stuff or have done that stuff. I've done it, I've done it enough to know how, but I would defer that to all those people who've done great work. So I would say there's sort of three things that I've really hung my hat on. One is like clinical hypnosis, doing the work as part of a treatment team, like real medical clinical work. Gotcha. The second one is training other hypnotists, or actually just helping create like HypnoThoughts Live and things like that, where we're creating resources to like get more trainers out there and get more students out there. So like just the facilitation of the industry. And then the third is technology. And I would say those are like the three worlds I live in and have lived in for 20 something years. And I love all three. They all give me a different thing. The clinical work is just, there's the rewarding, interesting intellectual challenges and helping a person one-to-one. Just, you get that moment of like, as they're walking to the elevator, you like nod your head to yourself and like, yep, that was a good one today. Like I got out of bed for a reason, like helping the industry, kind of the position I'm in now with like, building HypnoThoughts and being on boards of different hypnosis organizations and that kind of thing. I like that one because it gives me sort of a meta perspective on what's going on. And it means I get to talk to more of my colleagues. And that means, and I love those conversations because most hypnotists don't get to have as many conversations with hypnotists as I get to have, which I'm really fortunate there. Because then I get to hear about all these different approaches and styles and kind of in a very, very small way, have my hand in helping like push people and like encourage people to take next steps and stuff like that. And so that's fun in that side. And then the tech is even more than the last one is I see those as sort of escalating abilities to scale. Like one-to-one is great. And even doing group sessions is great, but you're only helping one person at a time, or maybe 20 or 50 people at a time. And then when you're doing HypnoThoughts Live, you're like, okay, 600 people are here, 1,000 people are here, whatever the number is on any given year. Okay, this 1,000 people, a bunch of them are going to have clients next week. So maybe I just helped 1,000 people have 10 better client sessions, which there's like that multiplier effect. So I'm less a part of it, but there's more of them. And then the AI is the thing where I have the ability to help people, tens of thousands at a time, which is and also very, very different problems. So it just scratches a different itch. So I would be hard pressed to only do one. I have to do them all.
Right. Can we dive into your work with AI a little bit more?
Sure.
Yeah, I think you've got something on one of your sites that says something about AI empathy. Was that?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's hear about that a little bit.
So some people who are listening to this who know who I am, I'm sure most people who are listening to this don't, but the people who know who I am might know I built out a thing called the Newport Clinic. So I took about a dozen clinicians, psychotherapists, life coaches, hypnotists, a chiropractor, just like a sort of a wellness clinic. Built that out. And we got a bunch of contracts with drug rehab centers. And I did about 17 years of work with drug rehab centers. So a lot of at-risk teens and drug addicted adolescents. And part of that was because I started this so young and I have a young face that when I was 30, I still looked, like 15. And so like it helped me work with that population. And so I have a real passion for that population. And I watched teen suicide get worse. And so the math comes out to every day in America, just in high schools. So a 4-year window, right? Just 9th through 12th grade, that window, 3,700 kids attempt suicide every day. Wow. And like that number is like a devastating number. It's the second leading cause of death for people under 24.
Is that like United States or worldwide?
United States.
Wow.
Just high schools in America, almost 4,000 kids. So if you think of it this way, walk into a classroom with 33 kids in it, which is the average classroom in America. 33 kids. 7 of them have seriously considered suicide. 3 of them have already tried.
And had someone have success.
Yeah. And so you just walk into a room and you look at them and you don't know which 3 it is, and you don't know which 7 it is. But it's such like disgusting numbers. And that doesn't count the over or under medicated. It doesn't talk about the kids that are like slipping through cracks or dropping out of school. Like there's just this huge problem. And when you say the most educated generation in the history of the planet is killing themselves on purpose at a rate that no one can wrap their heads around, and it got 100% worse. It doubled in severity over a 7-year period. And then the next year it got 20% worse.
Man, that's crazy.
So I was just watching this just ocean. And I just kept watching this get worse and worse and worse. And I was like, okay, I'll hire more people. Oh, I'll train more people. I'll do continuing education courses. And all of it just felt like such an insignificant response to this problem. And so I said, okay, I need to do something with greater technology that can do it. And so I tried to build a chat bot. I said, okay, I'm just going to use these AI systems out there and build something that's me. And I'll just build a digital copy of myself and have it do therapy. And I use the word therapy very loosely, but just for the sake of this conversation. And I figured out why it wouldn't work. And I kept running into these problems, and the systems were built by mathematicians and data scientists. And they didn't get built by people who had clinical experience and who understood empathy and understood rapport and understood how to use rapport strategically and all that stuff that, our colleagues do know how to do.
Right.
And so I just kept running into these limitations. I tried every system that was out there. None of them could do it. So I called a buddy of mine who's an NLP guy, but he's also a sociologist. And I said, here's what I want to do. And he was like, all right, if you say it can be done, I trust you. Let's work on it. And so we built out an AI system from scratch. It took years. It took years and years of work. But we built it. We patented it. IBM has recognized it a handful of times now as being this new revolutionary thing. We spoke at the United Nations. Yeah, it's just this really cool AI system that is designed to understand how a person's talking and that what it means about them, and just read the room, have
How
the
to be able to
empathy, have
read.
the soft
Right.
skills.
Yeah. It's intuitive,
So
like be able to read
yeah,
the emotions or the expressions or whatever. That's
yep.
so cool.
That's amazing. I mean, what amazing work and so
Right.
important.
We're just now at a spot where it's real. It took 3 years of research just to even, like, I had to take classes, like, just to even understand how AI really works.
Right.
And so I was like taking all these classes and reading all these books and just learning, and then building out prototypes and training prototypes and getting data sets and just all this very, very nerdy computer work. And we're just now getting to the spot where we can use it with veterans and use it
That's
in
great.
social good applications.
With Oculus, I'm sorry. With Oculus, I actually went in and was talking to a friend about designing a room just on a very simple level, and being able to have people come in and participate and go through sessions and everything. So that's just a really
Totally.
simple, but your idea is so wonderful. I think I would love that for that to get out for people to use.
Yeah, and I was wondering if maybe there is a listener out there who may be feeling some way, is there any advice that you would have or something that you would want them to hear right now?
For what kind of person?
Like someone who's maybe contemplating suicide, a teenager, or,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of those conversations. And I will say this, with complete respect to, the significant problems that are in that person's life, and obviously I have no idea what they are, and I can't keep score of whose are worse or anything like that. What I can say is, the people who care about you will miss you, and the people who you don't think will miss you way more than you imagine, and they want you to keep fighting. And there are a ton of stories of people who have attempted or seriously considered suicide, who then use that same amount of courage, because suicide takes courage. And anybody who says it's a coward's way out or any of that stuff just doesn't know what they're talking about. They're just full of shit. Taking your own life is a extreme act that is based on a whole bunch going on. And I would say the amount of courage and commitment required to kill yourself is the exact same amount of commitment required to help change the situation. And it is, let's just be that bold. Let's just be that crazy. Let's just be that dramatic, but do it in a positive direction. And, suicide will always be an option. You can kill yourself in next year, but like this year, let's just not give up yet, please.
Yeah, right.
Like, let's just take that same level of risk, because you now are telling me you've got nothing to lose, because you're going to kill yourself anyway. So let's just table that and say, let's revisit it. And right now, let's be that level of decisive and dramatic and permanent in our course correction in a different direction.
Great.
And let's go there.
That's great.
Because
advice.
like you said, it just takes the same type of drive and commitment and focus and determination to stick it out and make one more day work or one more week work, or to know you're not in this alone. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. And just to make one change, what's the one change? It's ending a relationship. It's starting a new relationship. It's putting yourself out there into a social group. It's going and getting a job. It's getting a crap job that's going to get you an okay job. There's a million stories out there of people who thought about it, didn't do it, and now their life's amazing. And there's unfortunately a million stories of people who wish their loved one had done the same thing. And I say that with, a lot of respect for the people who are going through that, because, it's real.
Heartbreaking now.
Yeah, and I guess if we'll make sure to put some resources in the show notes. So if you
there's great suicide hotlines. There's great peer support groups that you're not talking to a therapist. You're just talking to another person who wants to listen.
Right.
There's all sorts of opportunities for that person, that hypothetical person, to go be of service. Just say, look, just go find an animal shelter and go offer to walk their dogs, and just say, hey, look, I'm looking to, and just lie. Just go in there and say, hey, look, I'm looking to lose 10 pounds. And I want to do it by walking. Can I just walk your dogs for free? And I'll even let you hold my
change. Yeah.
Yeah. And just say, look, I'll let you hold my driver's license. I'm not stealing your dog. I just want to walk. And so walking a dog is better. Can I please walk your dogs for free? I'll pick up the poop. And now you're of service.
I'll pick up the poop.
Like, just do that one thing. And now you helped a dog today.
Yeah.
And today you helped a dog.
Find a
And
purpose.
somebody
Yeah,
who works at the pound or whatever the place is, and you say, okay, that dog and that person are glad you exist.
That's nice. That's good advice. Good advice.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
Wow. Okay. So I'm going to lift it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we're on here, we have one of our guests maybe give a little sample of how it can work. Would you like to do something like that? Like a little quick little.
Sure. I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do whatever you guys like.
Yeah. Well, we have to always, put it out there. If you're driving or if you're babysitting children or cooking, whatever it is, make sure that you're not responsible for anything, that you can sit down quiet and be safe. Right?
Sure. Yeah. Any direction on what the listeners are looking for? Or?
I mean, maybe something about purpose or, happiness or something that could help someone who's struggling.
Who's in that mindset that they need to come out of it. Yeah.
Sure. All right. So go ahead, take a moment to get comfortable. Find yourself in a position where you can be undisturbed for the next little while, and you can just take this moment to dedicate it to you. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, if you haven't already done so, just close your eyes. And just inhale, exhale, relax. Simple rhythm, simple cadence. And you might notice it slows a little bit over the next few moments, the next few breaths. You might find that natural connection as the more relaxed you become, the better you feel. The better you feel, the more you relax. And there's a natural momentum there. And over the next few moments, you can just find yourself relaxing further and further down. We don't have to keep score of how relaxed you become. And it's not a competition to see how deep you can relax now. It's just taking a moment intentionally to just decide to just let your physical body just loosen, soften, and let go. And to allow your mind to just drift off. You can focus on what I'm saying or just float away into a daydream. Your unconscious mind will be listening. Your unconscious mind is the part that stores your memories, creates your dreams. It's a creative, amazing part. And that part is in charge of keeping you safe. And it will always be listening. And that means you can just give yourself permission to simply let go. So I'd like you to think about three things, just one at a time. First thing I'd like you to just think about is inappropriate laughter. It's the best kind of laughter. It's the laughter where you know you shouldn't, but you can't help it. There was a time when you were in school and you knew that if you looked at your friend's face, you were both going to lose it. You were just holding in that laughter. You knew you shouldn't laugh, but that made it even funnier. I mean, that's real laughter. That laughter where you just can't help it. Think back to times in your life, or even just imagine a time coming up in the future where you knew it wasn't okay to laugh, but it was just too funny to hold it in. And just experience that. Just sort of turn up the volume on that inappropriate laughter. And then let's just take that and put it aside for a minute. We'll come back to it. I'd like you to think of another thing. A moment where you were proud of yourself. A moment in the past where you set a goal and you achieved it. Maybe it was a big deal that you worked really hard on for a really long time. Maybe it was something small. Maybe it was getting an A on a test, helping a client that you were working really hard to help. Maybe something in a relationship that's personal, whatever it is. You can think of a moment where you set a goal and you did it. And there was that moment where there's like a head nod, a fist pump, that moment where you were proud of yourself. And just hold on to that feeling of being proud of yourself and just turn up the volume on that a little bit. Let it grow with each breath. Let it pump through you and really relive that feeling of, I did it. And let's put that aside for a second. We'll come back to it in a minute. And the third thing is gratitude. That moment where you said thank you, but you really meant it. That moment where a person went out of their way to make your situation better. That moment where you were looking someone in the eye. And I mean, yes, you said thank you, but even more than that, you were just transmitting to them in whatever way makes sense for you. Just so much gratitude, so much appreciation for what they did or said, or even just noticed. That moment of just true gratitude, true appreciation. Let's take that and put it aside. And let's take those three feelings: inappropriate laughter, being proud of yourself, and grateful for someone else. And let's take those and just put them together as they come back into the center of who you are. And just let those three feelings mingle and swirl. And they don't have to be equal distributions. You might have more of one or another, or you might have a little bit of one, and then all of a sudden you notice more of the other and your awareness shifts. And let these three feelings just sort of tumble and swirl through you. Maybe with each breath, you can feel them moving through your body. Maybe as you think about them more, they remind you of other moments that were related to those positive, wonderful things. And you can hold on to those feelings. And as you hold on to those feelings, you can just take a moment, make a very simple request to your unconscious mind, that brilliant part of you, that creative, problem-solving, just genius part of who you are. And just say to yourself, more. And thank you. Just be grateful for those feelings and then ask for more. Say, help me get this. Help me notice it. Help me find it. Help me create it. And just find yourself and sort of catch yourself over the next few hours, days, and weeks. You sort of catch yourself succeeding. You just sort of notice, oh, there's more of that laughter. There's more of that gratitude. There's more of that feeling proud of yourself. And look for the opportunities to find, create, or earn those feelings. And then when you're ready, with that intention clear in your mind, you can just return back to where you are, listening to the sound of my voice. And I'll just count from 1 to 3. When I get to 3, you'll open your eyes. Coming back to the room, obviously completely connected to the environment around you, and just bringing with you that attitude, bringing with you that playfulness, bringing with you that intentionality. 1, bring those feelings with you, feeling good. 2, a nice deep breath that helps you feel better, bringing life back into your body. And 3, eyes open all the way back in the room, wide awake.
I love that. It was amazing.
I love that too.
I want to inappropriately laugh so much now. I'm like,
let me tell you something inappropriate. That was wonderful. It not only made me want to laugh, because I've always been a person who laughed at inappropriate things, but also it brought tears to my eyes because, it lifted so high and your voice was really good. Your rhythm was really good. It went deep. I loved how you swirled it together. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Scott, thank you so much.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure.
That was awesome.
It's hard to go on.
I know.
Okay. I hope nobody was driving.
So we could switch gears a little bit. So can you tell us a little bit about HypnoThoughts Live and
Sure.
how it came about? And
that's where we met you.
Yeah,
exactly. So HypnoThoughts Live is the world's largest hypnosis conference. This year's our 10-year anniversary. So we're crossing that threshold, which is really exciting, actually. I didn't expect to be this excited about it. It came to be because I created a website called hypnothoughts.com that doesn't exist anymore. And it was the world's biggest hypnosis website. And, we had tens of thousands of hypnotists from all over the world participating in this forum. And it was great. And this was before Facebook groups really existed. When I built it, it was genuinely called the MySpace of hypnosis. So it was when MySpace was still a thing. And, I was going to all these conferences and I was speaking at all these conferences. And the long story short was I asked the NGH if I could pay for a booth or do something because they were all saying, hey, the NGH is the biggest conference. Can we all wear like HypnoThoughts Live or hypnotherapist.com buttons so that we can find each other and just meet each other? I was like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. And so I reached out to the NGH. I said, hey, some of the members want to do this. Is there like a respectful way that I can do this? I don't want to detract from what you guys are doing. I just think it might generate 50 more attendees and it might generate some interesting moments at cocktail hours. And would that be okay? And they wrote back a bunch of stuff that was really mean. And they threatened to sue me. Like it was just really like disproportionately nasty. Which is fine. And
you could have just said no.
They could have just said no, but they wrote an email that started with like, how dare you? Like it was aggressive.
Wow.
And so like I've worked in drug rehab for a long time. I've had more people tell me to fuck off. I don't know if I can say that. Forgive me if I'm swearing on this.
You're fine.
I just caught myself. Sorry. I've had more strangers meet me and in the first 5 seconds tell me to F off than most people. And so I'm really comfortable with that. Like, it doesn't really upset me, but I was like, these guys are being jerks. And so my co-founder, Richard Clark, and I were in the room and I showed him the email and we read it out loud and we were laughing. We're like, these guys really don't get it. And I was like, these guys just hate fun. Like all we're trying to do is bring fun. And so Richard jokingly, and we would never really do this, but he jokingly said, he's like, what we should do is go rent a couple big RVs and just get in the parking lot across the street from the NGH conference and have big banners that say, this is where the fun stuff's happening for hypnothoughts.com and just have everybody cross the street. And so we were like, it was a total joke that wasn't going to last more than a half an hour of, just kind of screwing around in the office. And all of a sudden we're like, well, what would it take? And we just went online and like within a couple hours, we had penciled out, this could work. We could probably get 100, 200 people. And we did. And I guess
went
like
to the
no
NGH
one was,
and did that? You did
What's
that
that?
in Marlboro or you just did?
No, we just did our own thing. Like we wouldn't go step on anyone's toes.
Right.
Like, even as, like,
I was going to say,
like,
you did?
No, we were like, we could actually put on our own event. Like this could be a thing. And it really only took us a couple hours. And no one was putting on conferences unless they had an organization at the time. Like now there's all these conferences and mini conferences and regional conferences that come from like a Facebook group or like that kind of thing. That was not a thing in the universe. And like the idea of creating a hypnosis conference was crazy because only an organization could put one on. Because I had hypnothoughts.com and I had that mailing list, I had an opportunity. So I did it and hundreds of people showed up. We had a ton of fun and we've just been growing every year since.
Congratulations.
So exciting.
And so now we just, it's fun. We have 184 presenters this year.
We're
Yeah.
we're one of the presenters. We're going to do actually together though. We're
Great.
doing Hypno surround sound, a layering where we'll both be talking, going in both ears.
Dual inductions and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is like, we have so many cool presenters and so many topics. And because you don't pay for additional classes, right? So like, if you want to take a 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour class, you can just walk into them. Like other conferences charge you more for those. Right. So they force you to make decisions. We don't do that. We just open the doors and say, come learn. And if you hated one of the class,
you can walk
don't
out.
worry. Like we have 11 rooms going all day. Like if you hated one, just walk out and go to another one next door. You'll love it. And so it just creates this atmosphere of like openness and like people just like checking out classes they're like even a little bit curious about. They have these opportunities to go hear everybody in the industry. And it's just a ton of fun.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah.
We had so much fun last year.
Yeah, we actually brought a camera, remember, and we did a little mashup. We got about 20 of some of your top presenters there and got just a little clip of it just so that we could kind of show how open it was. And one another thing that I think I heard a lot of people talk about was they don't they don't separate you, with badges and stuff like that. It's like everybody's kind of on equal ground. So it gives you an opportunity to be open-minded, to learn from whoever you connect with or resonate with, and be able to share that stuff. So it did open the opportunities more.
Yeah, cause I hate that. I understand why it's done, but it's not just in hypnosis. It's in most conferences you go to. You have like credentials on your badge. So you're like vendor or board member or presenter or whatever. And so everyone's like looking at each other's badge like it's the military, and like we have to figure out who salutes who. And like we're all just people. Right. And I was really fortunate that I had a bunch of great mentors and great like cheerleaders. Like, Robert and Linda Otto have always been wonderful to me. Michael Elner's always been wonderful to me. Jim Duncan's always been wonderful to me. Like all these great people. There's a ton of the Carm, of course. There's a ton of people who have helped me a lot throughout my career. And all of them encouraged me to, like when I was first starting out, they're like, look, it doesn't matter that you look 7 years old and no one's taking you seriously. Like, we like you, like, speak up. And without their encouragement, I don't know that I would have. And so a big part of HypnoThoughts and like that, like we're all equal philosophy really is just me paying it forward from what all those people and a bunch of others did for me. Oh, Zolita Grant, Shelley, like the list goes on. Melissa Roth, like I could name 50 hypnotists, Jerry Kine, that all were just like really, really good to me.
That's great. Mm-hmm. Isn't that nice? That's just, and you're pushing it, paying it forward or pushing it forward and allowing that opportunity on a larger scale. So that's just wonderful. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. And I will say, we made so many connections, but it's like so much more than networking. I mean, I'm friends with all these people now.
Yeah.
It's
we're friends.
Fun. Yeah. Very, very close. And some of them, that you connect with. And even doing these interviews, we've got about 20 from the conference, and we've got, some great interviews with experience and diversity and just so many different ways to go about it, that it would be good if you show this to everybody so we can not only interview more people, but it gets it out there. And go ahead and tell when the conference is, maybe the cost, if for anybody who might be listening and want to sign up for it.
Yeah. Sure. So it's the last weekend in July. So it's 29, 30, 31 or 30, 31 in the first. It's right there, that last weekend. Right. But then we also have pre and post conference on both sides of that. So if you want to take like a 1-day class or a 3-day class, and you want to do a real deep dive on a specific topic, we have those before and after. And those are on our website. You go to htlive.net. So htlive.net, you go there, the schedule's there. We have a catalog with all the descriptions of all the courses and the presenters. And you can just look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is everything. We have an 80s party. We have a pool party. Like we just create all these bowling tournament. We buy lunch for everybody every day, included in your registration.
And it's a good lunch.
Delicious.
Yeah,
it's good food.
We take it really seriously to feed you guys good food, not rubber chicken. Like it's good.
It's like I want to go to lunch. It was great.
Yeah. That's the idea.
I was impressed. It was the best lunch I've had at any type of conference or any type of meeting even. That was great. We go way over the top on the food. Like we spend more money than the restaurants there.
Yes, it's better than restaurants. We spend more money on food than we do on any other single item. It is our biggest expense by a huge margin.
Well, I can tell
is just our catering budget.
It was memorable.
But it matters. It 100% matters because that's where the friendships happen. That's where the conversations happen. Mm-hmm. That's where it works, because otherwise it's just classes. But this is about a community. This is about getting to sit across the table from a mentor or a person who you've read all their books or watched all their videos. And now you get to talk with them and they're approachable and listening.
Right. That's the key word too, is that they're approachable.
Yeah.
It makes it, because you have everybody kind of on the level playing field, that makes it really nice.
Yeah, I'm really
just
grateful.
As important as they do, or vice versa. Yeah.
I really am grateful to all those presenters, because there could so easily be a cool kids table, and there just isn't. Like they're just like, they all really lean into that idea and they love it. So all the people who could be like, Melissa Tiers or Ken Guzzo, or like, these people who have, big followings, like Igor came a couple years ago and just wandered around, and you're just like, yeah, well, let's just meet these people. Yeah. And, Steve G. Jones shows up and is just, having lunch. Steve and his girlfriend sit down, and whoever sits at their table, you get to know Steve and his girlfriend. Like, and you're just like, these are the real people as real people, off duty, off guard. And you get to realize that, like, the people doing the most amazing work in our profession are made out of people.
Right.
And that means that we can all be just as amazing. Like our keynote presenter this year is Kaz Riley, who is phenomenal hypnotist out of England. And when she first came to HypnoThoughts Live, she wouldn't mind me saying this, she was a total nobody. Like she had like taught a couple classes with very few attendees ever. And she showed up and we gave her a couple speaker opportunities. We're like, we think she's got good material. Let's try to, see what she can do. And she just knocked it out of the park, just absolutely crushed it. And everybody loves her work. And that's like the big thing. Like, that's why we wanted her to give the keynote for the 10-year anniversary, because she's the embodiment of like why we built this thing, which is like, let's just create level playing fields and see who
can
like
shine.
Yeah.
Or let everybody shine, right?
Yeah. It's just so fun. If
love
anybody's like
excited.
curious about hypnosis, it's the best place to figure it out, because every kind of hypnosis is there. Stage, street, clinical, energy, like stuck in science, stuck in philosophy. We have classes on neurochemistry and spirituality, and how to do stage hypnosis in corporate events. Like, everything's there.
I love it.
Yeah.
I took a podcasting class and like marketing,
Right.
funnels, all sorts
While
of
we're
stuff.
there,
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're doing an excellent job. I just want to go ahead and, pat you on the back a little bit more and give you that kudos, because I really appreciate it. And I've been to several different conferences. I started, my first one was 2008, I think, at NGH, and
Sure.
And I appreciated everything that I experienced there. But there are different types, and one of the things that I really appreciate about HypnoThoughts Live is that we are able to all kind of hang and feel comfortable, in our skin, who we are, and with those that we might look up to that would generally be like they're unapproachable. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great job.
Yeah, no one's unapproachable. Like Marks Howell will like attend classes. And if you can if Marks Howell is going to be cool and approachable, then how dare anybody else try to big time you? You know what I mean? Like,
right. Well, that's what I think about you, Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I don't think that about me at all, but thank you very much.
Anyway, that's great.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for everything that you do, not just with HypnoThoughts Live, but all the amazing work that you're doing. And I guess if people wanted to get a hold of you and work with you, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you?
The best way to get in touch with me, if you're a hypnotist, the best way to get in touch with me is Facebook, because we have a Facebook group for HypnoThoughts Live, or anybody who's related to that kind of work. If you're a person who's an NLP person or tangentially related to that sort of helping others work, find me on Facebook, and it's just my name, and I'm easy to find there. And then if you want to talk about tech, find me on LinkedIn. And that's really the way I do it. Facebook is for my hypnosis side of the world, and LinkedIn is for my technology side of the world. So those are the two easiest places to find me.
Very good.
Awesome. That's so wonderful.
She's got these questions that she's going to ask you, and this is the fun part of the last of the interview. But
Awesome.
Consider maybe again sometime in the future coming on with us,
Of
because
course.
you've got so much to share. We'd really love to be able to explore it more.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll do these fast fun facts so our listeners can get to know you on a little bit different level.
Great.
So are you an early bird or a night owl?
I am an early bird. I haven't set an alarm in years.
Awesome. And do you know your zodiac sign?
I'm an Aries.
Oh, okay. I love Aries. one of my best friend is an Aries, so
Yeah.
got a soft spot for them.
I've had a lot of Aries in my life.
And what's the one song that gets you hyped up no matter when and where?
The song that gets me hyped up. I don't know. I have a 6-year-old boy, so all the songs I'm thinking of are now music that he blasts through our Google things around the house.
Yeah,
So it's probably that Under Pressure song from Encanto is the thing that's getting the most heavy rotation this week.
There you go.
So I'll go with that.
Perfect. And what is lighting you up the most in life right now?
What is lighting me up the most in life right now? It is my son, for sure. I'm having so much fun being a dad right now. Like, I would say in the last, like, it's always been fun. I've always loved being a dad, but like, he's hit this new gear of like little boy, you know what I mean? And so like being 5 and on the soccer team was cool and it was great and it was adorable. But now it's like this next level where like when he's wrestling with me, he's wrestling better and he's asking me cooler questions. And like he has opinions on stuff that is that's just fun. And so I would say getting to do that and just getting to like have that relationship with him it's like a real relationship. So you know, I probably got like 10 years before
surprising you too.
Yeah, and I'm on borrowed time because you know he's 6, so in 10 years he's going to be busy and won't want to talk to me or something. So I'm like really making the most out of it and doing my best to not waste it.
There you go.
Yeah,
Good
that's
guy.
important.
Yeah.
And if you could leave our listeners with one nugget of wisdom from today's conversation, what would you want that to be?
If I was going to leave the listeners with one nugget of wisdom, I would say it's all for fun. Like, no one gives a crap what you do. Like, this is just for us. Like, no one knows what you're doing. Like, no one cares what I'm doing, you're doing. Let that liberate you. Just have fun. Because no one cares. And everyone's worried about whatever everyone thinks about them. No one's thinking of you. That's freedom. Like no one's thinking about me. No one's thinking about you. Just do what you want. Do what makes you happy. And you know, don't be a jerk and hurt people. And then everything's good. As long as you're not hurting people, do whatever you want. And life is better that way.
Great advice.
Yeah, I love
it.
And thank you so much for coming on the show. This was so insightful and so much fun. And we're just honored to have you on the show. Thank you so much.
I meant it when I said it was my pleasure. I really, really enjoyed it.
That's great.
We'll have to have you back soon.
Do, please.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast. If you found some value in this episode and enjoyed it, please consider liking, subscribing, and giving us a 5-star review. Most people may not know that interacting with our content and our channel helps us to continue the work we're doing and reach more people. And we just want to thank you again from the bottom of our hearts for being such a loyal listener. And don't forget to tune in next week and every Tuesday for the latest episode of the Rise and Shine It's Hypno Time podcast with Dina and Suzanne. See you next week.